It's time for the Freedom in 5 Minutes podcast. Powerful and liberating business strategies you can start in 5 minutes or less. Now, here's your host, Dean Soto.
Hey, this is Dean Soto, founder of freedomin5minutes.com and prosulum.com, and we're here again with another Freedom in 5 Minutes podcast episode. Today's topic is this: making your business as easy as possible to operate. That and more coming up. Hey guys, I'm here with the Luna Meister. Luna, stop sticking your nose in things where you can get bit by a snake. Hey, come. Luna, come. Luna, come. Good girl. Good baby. Good baby. Well, it's starting to become springtime. It's on that border of winter and spring, and every time she sticks her nose into an area like that, there could be a little snake hiding, and I don't want that to happen. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hey, if you haven't subscribed to the podcast, go to Google, type in Freedom in 5 Minutes podcast, and your favorite app, your favorite podcast app. It could be Apple Podcasts, it could be Spotify, it could be Stitcher Radio. I don't care which one it is. You can listen and enjoy the Freedom in 5 Minutes podcast at any time, whenever you like. So go do that right now if you haven't. All right. So when I first got into this whole entrepreneur thing, so back in the day, I don't know if you know, but I was an IT expert. I was an IT consultant, right? That's what I kind of deemed myself. So my wife wanted to stay at home, and I was like, okay, I'll make it happen. And so I started trying to figure out how to do this whole entrepreneur thing. I ended up taking a course by Ramit Sethi called Earn 1K. That course was awesome. It actually propelled me to the next phase of my journey, which was full-on entrepreneurship. And one of the things that happened during that time, so I remember being in my office. I had this office. The room was bigger, one of the bigger rooms in our house. At the time we had a 1,500 square foot house. My office was one of the bigger rooms, and it was just way too much space. And I'm sitting there. I have my small little desk with my computer. It was an Alienware computer that I had actually gotten right when I got back from basic training in the Army. So this was around 2003 timeframe is when I got the computer, and I still had the computer, and it was still working and doing what I needed it to do in 2009, 2010. Yes, I make good computers. They're all for gaming. All for gaming. Massive amount of gaming, which means that they last forever. So, that I want to say it was around $1,500. That computer lasted me so long. Oh my gosh. It makes me cry just thinking about it. So I got that. So I was in my office and, going over Craigslist on that old computer. It's still doing what it was supposed to do. Going through Craigslist, and I put on this ad that said something like, we'll fix any IT problem, fix any of IT problem, guaranteed, or your money back, or something like that. And I even said, like, if it can be fixed over the phone, it's free. So I had one old lady call me. She's like, "Oh yes, I'm trying to find the any key," or something like really dumb like that. I'm trying to find the any key and I can't seem to find it. it's saying to press the any key. And so it wasn't exactly this, but it was something like that. And so I just said, oh, this is what you do. Just go press any key on your keyboard. So press K or J or whatever. And she's like, oh, thank you, young man. And click, all done. And and it was interesting because the second person, I was kind of taken aback because the second person was actually this other stay-at-home mom who she had just her computer basically stopped working. And so I go over to her house, start fixing her computer. It was going to be like $50 or something like that from what I saw. And it just wasn't, I didn't have the tools necessary to fix all of the stuff. So I brought it home and I probably spent a good 8 hours on that thing. And now at $50 times 8 hours, not very cool, right? Well, it was during that time. So she was super happy. She actually ended up paying me like $120 or something like that, just because of how happy she was and how much time I spent on it and everything like that. Super nice lady. It was awesome. And she ended up paying me that additional cash, but at the same time, I'm like, oh, dude, I cannot keep doing this. I was away from my family for a long time. That's not counting the full-time job that I had as well. And I'm just like, oh, this sucks, man. I don't want it to be this way anymore. And so I started moving that's when I started really moving, and this has been a talent of moving things into a way where they become as easy as possible to do. Okay. Business is no exception. Okay. So, with business, so I started moving to like things like utilizing WordPress and teaching people and starting to build websites and things like that I can do online. And everything that could be possibly done online without me started moving in that direction. And what that allowed me to do is to work from anywhere or hire new people that can do that work for me, right? So my goal the whole time over the years was to make my business as simple as possible, like as no-brainer as possible, to where and to make it to where I'm not doing a lot of the stuff that a lot of other people do. Okay. So, and this is not to toot my own horn. This is more to help you. So here are the things I wanted to list out, some of the things that I do and that are kind of principles in any business that I personally create. Okay. So principle number one is that the main source of your business, the main service of your business has to be done online. Okay. This could be consulting calling through Zoom. It could be doing normal phone calls. It could be remotely connecting into somebody's computer. It could be creating websites. It could be whatever. But it has to be done online. Now, I know not every business can do this, and I'm talking about those. I'm speaking directly to mainly those dads, those husbands who want to be able to have their full-time job, but also be able to do other things on the side, right? So I'm mainly speaking to those types of people. So it has to be done online. That way where you're able to be anywhere at any point in time. Like, I want to be able to vacation, and if something comes up, I can handle it. Or if it's in the morning, say I'm on the East Coast, or I'm on the West Coast and my customer's on the East Coast, I can do things in the early morning to benefit my customers if I want to. I don't want to be working all the time, but if it's there, it's there, right? So principle number 1, it has to be online. Principle number 2, it has to be, your business should have as its main source of revenue, recurring income. Recurring income from something, okay? So one of my services is operations consulting and systems consulting. I go in, spend not that much time looking at businesses, looking at their operations, looking at what they're doing, fix them, they start making a lot more money, and then they pay me a lot of money, right? That's great to get that, influx of cash. Boom, boom, 30,000, 40,000, 60,000. That's great. That's awesome. However, once that's done, it's done. And that is not a good place to be, where you're having to scrounge or having to look for your next business, right? Or your next way of getting cash flow. I'm going to head up back to the house so we can have some breakfast with my family and pray with them. So if I start panting, I apologize. It's all good. But it has to have some kind of recurring income. So right now, obviously with the VSAs, that is recurring income, and allows me to constantly give value to my customer. They're getting value as well. Tons of value. But they could also hire me for consulting, or there's other things that we can do as well, right? So, recurring income. It sucks when you get a good amount of money and then boom, you stop. And boom, you stop. You're always starting at zero. Very, very hard business. And it's not really a sellable business either. It becomes a business that becomes very hard to sell. Okay. All right. So number 3. So principle number 3 is utilize as many tools or strategies that help you to do less. Okay, and I know that sounds retarded. Like, it's like, well, yeah, obviously that's a great idea to do. You could hear my chickens. Balker, quiet. That's great to do, right? Great to hear. Yeah, everyone would love that. But here's the thing. When I started working with people who were subcontractors, and I was paying them with checks. I was paying them, I'd send checks to them via online banking and all this other stuff, and I'm like, oh, cool, everything's great. Yeah, it's great. Then at the end of the year, I could do that with my affiliates and so on and so forth. And then at the end of the year, or in January, it's like, well, you got to send 1099s to all these guys. That sucks. And I'm like, this sucks. I never want to do this again. Well, the cool thing is that, and you have to talk to your CPA about this. Some CPAs don't like it. Mine's okay with it. But one way around sending 1099s to all your subcontractors, if you have some, is that you can pay via PayPal or some kind of electronic means. Okay, PayPal, Stripe, things like that. U.S. tax code, and I'm not an accountant. Don't take this as tax advice. This is just my opinion. That's it. Says, allegedly, that you can, if you send electronically, you don't have to send your 1099s. And that saved me a ton of time in January and a ton of heartache. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. But using things like Asana, Asana, which is like a project management system to track your projects. Free. Using Slack to communicate. Free. Using WhatsApp to communicate. Free. These things allow you to move and do things quicker than your competitor, and allows you to scale without using things like email, because emails get lost. I just actually had a client who didn't see that they had gotten an email. They're like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see how I missed that." So that's another way of just always trying to find the easy way out. And that's not we're having breakfast already. That's not a cop-out, but it is especially in our culture, finding the easy way out is kind of like, oh, you're lazy, that's wrong, whatever. No, find the easy way out in a lot of situations. I don't do 1099s because everything goes electronically. I don't want to do 1099s. I see all these businesses going, give me your W-9, give me your W-9. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I need No, I'm going to electronically send stuff, so that's it. So I don't have to send this stuff. The goal is do as little as possible. So those are the 3 principles. There's more. I'll talk about more in later episodes. But the first 3 principles. Okay. Principle number 1: have your main source of revenue be something that's done online. Okay. Number 2: have recurring revenue over big cash flow. Big one-time cash flow. Okay, we don't want that one big, huge one-time cash flow as the main thing. We want our main thing to be recurring, and those big cash flow things are nice to have after that big. Is nice to have as an additional bonus, right? Right, and then number 3, always find the easiest solution to what you're doing right now. Okay, the easiest solution to what you're doing right now. Okay, that's why our customers, our VSA customers, they can build processes in 5 minutes, right? They can literally turn on their video, shoot the video, done, send it off, everything gets documented, and then they never have to do it again. Easy, right? And that came about because I wanted an easy way to do stuff for me, right? And so those are the 3 principles on growing a business that really is more effective and more efficient than anything else that's out there right now. All right, so this is Dean Soto, Freedom in 5 Minutes. Go check out freedomin5minutes.com. But until then, we will catch you on the next Freedom in 5 Minutes podcast episode.
Thanks for listening to the Freedom in 5 Minutes podcast. Now, head over to www.freedomin5minutes.com and register for our free masterclass and discover how to start systemizing and automating your entire business 5 minutes at a time. We'll see you next time on the Freedom in 5 Minutes podcast.